My name is Gary Chin, and expanding upon our Rose Society's educational videos on roses, today I will be talking to you about bare root roses and their care. Now, this video is being produced at a time when bare root roses are now available from the rose hybridizers and nurseries. The first part of the video will cover what you will need to do when you get your bare root rose or bare root roses. The second part of the video will cover what you can do with your bare root rose. Now, after the video, if you click on our logo on YouTube, it will take you to our society's YouTube channel. Selecting videos will pull up our videos that provide education on different types of activities regarding roses. Now, we also have a few videos that we made of Rose Society members' roses, so you might enjoy that too. Now, if you're done viewing the videos, if you go to the About tab on our YouTube channel, you can read about our Rose Society. And there's a link near the bottom that will take you to our Rose Society's website. And you can find out information about what our Rose Society is doing. And there's also a membership application that you can get there. So if you're interested in joining our Rose Society, and it's only $20 a year, then go to our website and submit an application to join the society. Now, if you're also interested in finding out when we add videos to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and when we add additional videos, you will get notification. How's that? That sounds real nice. This way you can find out when there are more educational videos posted about roses. Oh darn, you know what? I just remembered. I'm supposed to be doing this video on bare root roses and their care. But this morning I didn't have any roses, bare root roses. However, I am expecting a delivery of bare root roses. And just a little bit ago, FedEx delivered a package, and hopefully that package has bare root roses that I will use for this educational video. So come on with me, let's go get that package, and hopefully there'll be bare root roses in it for this educational video. Come on. Hi, this is Gary, and we're going to cover bare root roses. When you receive an order of bare root roses from a nursery out of area, this is how you usually receive it. These roses are a gift to my wife and I from my nephew Derek, his wife Lon, and his son Milo. So we'll take care of the bare root roses now that they've been received. So one of the first things you want to do once you receive your bare root roses is to check them and make sure they're okay. So we're going to do that right now. I have my gloves on because we're going to have to deal with roses with thorns. And you get a receipt indicating what came in the shipment. So here's the receipt showing me what was delivered. I'll put it aside for now. And they're kind enough to provide information on how to take care and planting your bareroot roses. And these are the roses that we received. There are 4 of them. And the first one is the Ingrid Bergman rose. And look at it, it's got really nice canes. It's a nice opening here for the air. So, that'll be a nice one. And one of the things that you want to do when you first get roses, you want to hydrate them, make sure they're hydrated, and put them in water and add bleach to make sure any bad materials, bugs are taken care of. Now, this is 15 gallons worth of water, so I'm going to put a couple caps of bleach in the water. And I'll get my stir stick and stir the water, make sure the bleach gets moved over. Industrial size stir stick. And Ingrid Bergman goes on in. The next rose is Grande Amor. And again, you want to make sure it's healthy. Got nice canes. And it looks pretty nice, so go ahead and add it to the water. And a nice set of roots. Oh, this one's got a real nice stalk here. And this is Dick Clark. And again, you want to make sure, get rid of the dead stuff. But it's a nice looking one. It's actually got a couple buds that are coming through, so also, and it goes along with the other roses. And lastly, we have the double knockout rose. And again, checking it, making sure it's healthy, okay. It appears to be nice canes, and actually a couple buds are starting to get ready to come out, but we'll go ahead and add them to the group. So that's it for now. I'm going to leave these in the water for a few days and then we'll pot them. And so we'll show you what we do when we're potting these bare root roses.
What am I going to talk about again?
Alrighty, so today we're going to take the bare root roses that I received and Charlotte is going to pot them for us, and so she'll demonstrate how to pot bare root roses.
Hi guys, I'm in my backyard and it's a little windy, so if my hair's blowing or if you hear chimes in the background, that's why. Gary got 4 potted bare root roses and got a variety of different roses, and I'm going to pot them all for you today. He's already been soaking them for several days, and normally you put them up to their necks in water with a little bit of bleach, and you trim any of the broken roots and any tips here that sometimes they come in when they travel, they get broken and stuff, since a twig may be bent or something. You just trim that off. But he did a good job. So this is something we're going to be potting, and I have one smaller one, so we have a smaller pot and another one, and I have one other one that was too big to put in with this pot with water. He's got, sometimes, let me show you folks, when I just went out of the frame of view, but I'm going to put this down. Woo, it's heavy. Water is heavy. And this is what a completed pot will look like after it starts growing. He's got these sticks, and you will end up seeing a peat pot. This is a peat pot. This is a plastic pot. We will plant this, and hopefully in about 2 or 3 weeks, depending on the weather, it's going to look like this. So, and as you can see, this is looks good, and it's got a label for the name of the plant. And Gary's wife has done her job. She's covering for him labels for all the different roses. So he will go home with potted roses and that are labeled. Okay, I'm going to put this down. We're going to get to work. Okay, now, there are 2 different types of pots. These are peat pots. They're actually compressed peat. A lot of the growers like them. You can plant these in the soil and leave the plant in there, but when you do so, they recommend that you take a razor and cut the trim edge with the level of the soil, and even scar it open so it breaks down a little bit faster. If you keep this longer than 6 months to a year, what will happen if you have this on ground, this will just disappear after a while. It rots on you. That's happened to me. That's why I know. If you're going to keep it longer than a year, use a plastic pot, or but peat pots are just as good as anything else. And so let's get started here, because it's really very, very easy, and this won't take very long. I have some soil. I like to buy a potting soil because it already has fertilizer in it, and so I don't have to add any. It's already pre-mixed. It's not too much, not too little, and I like the organic form of potting soil. If I use the potting soil for a longer period of time, after the first bloom of these roses, if I'm going to leave it in a pot, I use fish emulsion fertilizer to give it a little extra fertilizer. That way I don't burn those brand new roots that are in here.
Now, do you use vitamin B1 that helps roots to grow?
That is really, I only use that when I'm trying to, use a rooting hormone when I'm trying to start a root from the cutting. I don't use it when I use the bare root roses. They've got enough sugar and energy in their roots to break dormancy. What's happening here, it's already trying to break dormancy. You'll see the buds are starting to swell, and that's why we hydrate it, to make sure this is as full of moisture as possible. And then we have to keep our soil really well watered. And I always, when it's done, like that one that I showed you earlier, that's put in a part shade. So it gets the sun, but it doesn't get too hot, because it needs to put out roots, and it needs to put out new growth here, and that requires a lot of energy, so I don't want it to stress the plant. So part sun doesn't stress the plant. Well, this is going to fit in here just fine.
Now, would you totally soak the
I usually
rose and the pea pot? Totally soak it when you get it ready to where you want it?
What do you mean, soak it? Where are you going to?
Well, if temporarily I find a location. What I usually do is I'll take a rose and a pea pot and think about where I want it,
Okay.
and I'll leave it there. I'll totally soak it,
Yeah.
and then see how it does. And if it does well, then it gets planted in the ground. And if it doesn't look to be doing too well, then in a container, I can move the container elsewhere to where it may be happier.
Oh yeah, that's, you know, if you're worried if you don't have enough sunshine there, or where, from that perspective, that's, you know, and sometimes you've got different types of roses and you want to try things, or some people are a little fussier with the color combination. You can move this anywhere, but the big thing is once it's a pot, it has to stay watered, and that's the big key, because these are new plants. Okay, the first thing I usually do, and I emptied about a half a bag of potting soil in here, is I'm going to drop some in, and I'm going to need to add some more. The reason I like to pot roots and do it, pot my bare roots in a pot is the soil's warmer, so the root growth, it comes faster and it breaks dormancy even faster. Because if you put in the cold soil, it takes longer, and then sometimes all of a sudden you get a really warm spell, and it gets dehydrated, and sometimes it doesn't even break dormancy. So I like to do it this way, because then I have more control. So we're getting there. This is the easiest part, folks. This is easy gardening. All you have to do is add soil. We're almost done. And you just kind of settle it in there. You don't want to pack it in there, but you don't want it to. You want it to be anchored a little bit. And you can see this is there was a stem and a bud union above that. You want to have the soil just under the bud union. And when you plant it in the garden, that's when you need to plant it about the same as what we've done here. In some of the colder part of the country, they actually bury the bud union. So, yes, and you get to do the last part. I'm just going to pat it down just a little bit.
I'll get the easiest part.
Yes.
The name, Dick Clark. There you go.
That's it, folks.
That's it.
Now it's a little heavy, and afterwards you get to water those
I
when you
will.
take them home. No sense putting all that extra water in your car.
Well, now that we demonstrated how to do one, it's my turn to do one.
Okay, this one's got a lot of roots, and it's going to want to, boy, it's got a healthy looking bush.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and give you this.
What wasn't mentioned earlier is that we generally use organic material. So these are organic potting soil with fertilizer.
Yep, that's it's the manufacturers. They put everything's organic, and then you know it has the mulch in it, it has compost in it, and it has all the basic nutrients that a new plant needs. I always recommend organic, and then as I mentioned earlier, I like to then water with just some diluted fish emulsion fertilizer in it, so it has a continued little release of fertilizer. This is looking good, Gary.
Good.
You're a pro now. Sometimes when you get a plant, you'll have one root that's a little longer than your pot will allow. It's okay to cut that piece of root off or kind of bend it a little bit in the pot. That's okay. There's a label right down there you can put in there.
Alright.
Yeah, it belongs the other two. We'll switch those, yes. Here we go.
Alright.
All right, 2 down. You got it?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, I'm going to do the little one now. Gary was so smart. We have a littler one. Oh, here it is.
Yep.
And we went and got a double knockout rose. I have 2 knockout roses. I used to have more, and I had this color of knockout rose when it was more of a single, and the reason a lot of people like it is because it is really disease resistant. It's almost, at least here it doesn't get black spot. And I have one that's called Blushing Knockout, and it's in the shade pretty much most of the day, and it never gets black spot, and it's always in bloom. But it's pretty much a semi-double. It has maybe only 10 petals. There's a big secret that that rosarians know. If you have a partly shaded area and you want to put a rose there, get a single or a semi-double that has maybe 10-15 petals. They will continue to bloom in the sun. But if you take a rose that has lots of petals, like your hybrid cheese, they won't do very well. Roses need 6 to 8 hours minimum in a location to really do well, because otherwise they get a lot more diseases, and they just don't bloom. They aren't successful. So I did this one in no time at all, and I'm going to get my label. Oh, you got Grand Amore. Ooh, Gary likes red roses. And Grand Amore is a wonderful rose, and it's a good show rose. If you ever gone to a show and you're thinking maybe tempted, that's a good rose to bring to the show. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's about me. I enjoy red roses. I remember the years that you'd go to for Valentine's Day, you'd go out and buy a dozen red roses. They'd cost you how much, and they only lasted how long? I'm like, wait a minute, that makes no sense.
Well, you know,
why not just buy red roses, and you can have red roses throughout the year?
well, that's what I told my husband to do. When we moved in this yard, I said, don't buy me any more arrangements of roses. Get me some rose bushes. And that's how come I have 350 roses. I think he loves me a little bit. He doesn't help in the garden at all.
Smart move.
In fact, he helped me move some little baby roses in 1-gallon pots. And the first one he touched, he got stabbed. I don't know how he does it. But roses, there are a lot of people who like roses because it's sentimental. I have a brother, he has maybe 5 roses, but he was at one of those big Costco, I think it was, or one of those type of places. He said, they have roses. They got Oklahoma. I had given him Oklahoma many, many years ago. It's a deep, deep red, and it's so fragrant. He loves the fragrance of that rose. So he bought 3 more roses, all Oklahoma.
I do have other color roses, but predominantly red roses.
Yeah. So, yep. But men do like red roses.
And the thing is, when we get home. We've done in the past at the society meeting, we'd ask people to bring their favorite tool to the meeting and show the other rose people what their favorite roses are. I'm my wife's favorite rose tool. I dig the hole, plant the rose, and set up the drip system. So I'm her favorite rose tool.
Well, I'm not as lucky as them. I dig the hole, plant the thing, but I do like my pruners. So yes, we all have our favorite tools, and it varies on what I'm working on. Okay, now that was quick, folks. I think we did that in what, 10 minutes? 15 at the max. So remember, folks, this little stick will look like this in a few weeks.
So I've demonstrated what happens when you get roses from a nursery that's mailed to you, and we potted some. Now, Charlotte's going to cover some of the other things that I hadn't covered earlier, like types of tools that you would need and the different potting mixes and things like that. So Charlotte's going to talk about that now.
Well, these are 2 different bags, and they're from Kellogg, which is a company down in Southern California. They specialize in organic products, and their products are distributed both to nurseries. They have a special product line for them, and then also for the big box stores. These were from the big box stores because my husband happened to be there, and I said, would you pick up some potting soil? So this is Patio Plus. It's a little bit different, but they both work, and this is raised bed and potting mix. So they're formulated a little bit different, but they still work for this application. So like I say, I'm looking for a good quality potting mix. So these are just 2. When I like a nice set of pruners. These are anvil pruners. I actually clean these. They're shiny. These are ARS pruners. Most of our rosarians in our area, we love these because they're very sharp. They're made from they're a Japanese brand, and they're made from a really sharp type of steel that retains its sharpness very fast. And I actually, when I clean these, I sharpened them. I take a diamond sharpener to it and do that, and then I put some oil on them. And before I use them on new roses, if I was going to have to trim, I get some Lysol spray and I spray so I don't take any bacteria from my garden, what roses I've used last, to Gary's new roses. And I started. I was talking to a plant pathologist. And some of us are starting, if you have some diseases or you have more disease pressure in your yards, sometimes it's a good thing to do this between different plants.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you sterilize your tools between rose plants.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing that because I think that's just a smart thing to do. And, you know, it's one spray. I'm done. They even sell, hairdressers even have a spray that it's an alcohol base that they spray their scissors that they use to cut people's hair. You can use that also. So, like I say, or even all the sanitizing wipes. So many of us bought this last year. Works too. So, but don't put Clorox beads on it because Clorox will pit this metal. So that's the only thing. So that's what I like to have. And you see, I have gloves on. I always have a latex type gloves when I'm working in the soil. And Gary had some, he had
so now
leather
when
gloves.
You get,
oh.
as I showed earlier, if you don't have too many bare-root roses, you can put them in a plastic container and add a little bit of bleach to it, and that'll take care of it. The 4 bare-root roses I showed earlier, I had a large container they were all in for a while with bleach. But
yes.
Not everybody's going to have a large container, and if you only have a couple of them, And
This
a
will
bucket.
hold at least 3 or 4, maybe 5, depending on how big are. This is a truck. A lot of gardeners have trucks because they're handy because they're a little wider, not as narrow as one of our. I've got a Home Depot pail too. It's like you got it. You always need something to store something in. So anyway, I use trucks a lot. So those are the kind of things. And naturally, we all have our blades to open up packages and stuff. So that's all you need for for this activity.
So moving forward, once we get these potted roses back home, then we'll talk about where they go in the ground for now.
Well, when he gets them home, he's gonna water them adequately and put them in a part shade.
Yep, they're going to be drenched. All right.
Okay, goodbye, folks.
All right. Roses that we potted are now at home. We got home and we thoroughly soaked all the roses. Got to make sure they came out of a environment where they're full of water. Then all of a sudden they're now in peat pots that are dry. So, the thing to do, I like to do, is thoroughly soak the roses in the peat pot, let it drain, and now it's time to put them in a location. So that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, here's one. And that's Ingrid Bergman. Dick Clark. And last but not least, Gran Amor Mori. So generally what I like to do is partially bury them and leave them there, and hopefully they'll do well. And if they do well, then we'll permanently bury the roses in their location. If they don't seem to do well, we'll find another location for them. And that's why I keep them in pea pods and partially bury them. Now some people keep them in pea pods and keep them above ground, and that's an individual option. So they position the roses in their locations, and now fill in the holes. So now that the roses have been placed in their locations, the next thing to do is make sure they get watered well constantly. So I prefer to use these emitters on a drip system that have water flow 360 degrees, so it gets the entire rose watered. And I also use these metal hooks to make sure that the emitters stay in their location. So, Dick Clark, there you go. And Ingrid Berkman, here you go. Double knockout. Here you go. Here's your drip system. And last but not least, Grand Mori. Now I have these emitters set to come on every other day for roughly 6 to 10 minutes. So they thoroughly get watered, and hopefully in a few weeks these bare root roses will look like our rose tree show is. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. One fellow's version of handling bare root roses. There are a few other ways that you can take care of it. Some people actually go ahead and plant them in the ground, and if the soil's warm, it might not be such a bad idea. Especially if you know for sure the rose is going to do well where you plant them. Alright? So, that's it. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed. And once again, I'd like to thank my nephew Derek, his wife Lon, and their son Milo for providing these bare root roses that I was able to use in this educational video about bare root roses and their care. Thank you once again.